every living thing in the sea died. In March of 2011, a 9.0 magnitude earthquake rumbled off the coast of Japan, generating a tsunami which swept over and destroyed the Fukushima nuclear power plant. 3 reactors melted down. The world's worst nuclear disaster had begun. Every day since the meltdowns, 300 to 400 tons of toxic water have poured into the Pacific Ocean. The amount of radiation spewing out from Fukushima recently increased by 7,500%. By the year 2020, radiation will have destroyed all sea life in the Pacific Ocean. Millions will starve. Unbelievable as this Hebrew prophecy once might have seemed, it is now coming to pass. But this is merely one prophecy in a long list of terrifying events found in the book of Revelation. At this very moment, our Earth teeters on the edge of thermonuclear war. Back in 1962, our planet rushed to the brink of a global Holocaust.
Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island.
To halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment under shipment to Cuba is being initiated.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union.
Kennedy's challenge to the Soviets was clear, and everyone knew the danger was real. Americans worried and protested, but most important of all, they prayed. Russia agreed to remove its missiles, and the crisis was averted. Now these same superpowers are facing off again. This time, the U.S. government's brinkmanship is being hidden from its citizens under a swirl of propaganda issued by the White House. Most Americans are oblivious to what is really happening. Very few are truly alarmed. President Obama has openly challenged Russia. The CIA engineered a coup d'etat in the Ukraine, right on Russia's doorstep, toppling a pro-Russian democratically elected government in favor of a pro-Western group of fascists. The U.S. then slapped heavy economic sanctions against Russia, blaming it for the breakaway of the eastern Ukrainian province. Obama accused Russia of invading Ukraine, which is ridiculous. If Russian troops had invaded, the Civil War would have long since ended. Now it has become clear that the White House conspired with Saudi Arabia to force the price of crude oil down, further crushing the Russian economy. But this move has also devastated the U.S. oil fracking industry and pushed world markets dangerously close to a financial depression. America's European allies are waking up to the stupidity of Washington's present course of action and are lobbying Obama to defuse the situation. Former Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev recently stated that the West's push against Russia may lead to a tragic end. Alexander Dugin, the Russian philosopher known as Putin's brain, because he is so influential in Russia, believes that the U.S.-led New World Order is the kingdom of the Antichrist, and that it will be destroyed someday. Dugin is convinced that there will be a major war between Russia and the United States, which Russia will win. The old doctrine of MAD, or mutually assured destruction, is no longer likely to keep the world from a nuclear confrontation. Why? Because the balance of power has shifted. Obama has unilaterally reduced the size of our strategic nuclear arsenal down from 31,000 to just 1,642 deployed warheads. According to the State Department, Russia now has more ICBM warheads deployed than we do. The U.S. Navy calls Russia's newest submarines black holes because we cannot track them. They now have the ability to approach our coastlines undetected. They could launch an overwhelming first strike of nuclear cruise missiles, wiping out our entire arsenal before we even realize we're at war. And if Russia does launch a first strike, its anti-ballistic missile system would likely intercept the limited number of rockets that we do manage in response. Unlike America, Russia is actively preparing for a nuclear war. But Obama and the American government seem lost in a reckless power trip, savoring their international game of Russian roulette. Wars are often ignited by a miscalculation on the part of some foolish politician. With massive nuclear weaponry on both sides, there is no margin for error. The book of Revelation describes, in first century language, what could be nuclear war unleashed upon mankind. Revelation 6 declares that there will be a great earthquake. The sun will be blackened, the moon will become like blood, stars will fall to the earth, and the planet will be shaken by a great wind. The sky will split apart like a scroll when it is rolled up. These predictions sound ominously descriptive of atomic warfare. Revelation 8:7 says a third of the earth will be burned up with the trees and the grass. 8:11 says a third of the waters will be turned bitter and cause many to die. 8:12 says a third of the sun, moon, and stars will be struck, turning them dark. There will be a massive slaughter of human beings in most populated areas, hit by the initial blast waves, fireballs, thermal pulses, mass fires followed by intensive radiation sickness. The globe will be darkened for years by toxic radioactive dust in a nuclear winter, killing much of the plant and animal life on the earth. Revelation 9:18 summarizes that the fire and the smoke and the brimstone will kill a third of mankind. Based upon today's population, that means over 2 billion people will die. Bible prophecy mentions many nations by name, but it does not identify the United States of America. It could be that the U.S. is not mentioned because it will be wiped out in a nuclear war. If a nuclear war does happen between the U.S. and Russia, it is highly likely that Russia will survive. Why? Because the prophet Ezekiel in chapters 38 and 39 declared that Russia will eventually invade Israel. If America is destroyed, Russia will be free to pursue its own agenda by invading the Middle East. Don't let yourself be lulled into sleep because so little information is being broadcast by the state-supported corporate media. Instead, keep an eye fixed on alternative media to find out what's really going on. It might also be wise to study a Bible, especially the book of Revelation, so that you can see what God has already predicted will happen. No matter where you live in these last days, the best long-term solution for your own safety and security will be found in knowing the God who controls the universe and the future. I would encourage you to watch our video about how to become a Christian while there is still time.